Yeah, we're live right now. I just started it. Thank y'all for tuning in to our first official show on intellectual conversations on Diamond Life Radio. I'm your host, Carly Black. Joining us today is the author of Noble Love, Dream Lover, Taking Chances, Love or Fair War, and her newest literary creation, Vigilant Love. Miss Tay Russ,
Yes, ma'am.
how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am, no problem. Okay, now I gave the listeners a basic introduction. Can you introduce yourself?
My name's Tay Russ. I write romantic. I write romance novels. Um, I've been doing it for about 6 years now. And Vigilant Love will be, I believe, my 32nd published work.
That's a lot for 6 years.
Yeah. I stay busy.
Okay, cool. Now I know you're tired of answering the same question. Where'd you get your ideas, and what is your writing process like? And what advice do you have for future writers? So let's get those out the way first.
Okay. Well, I get my ideas kind of from everywhere. Everything around me is kind of inspiration. TV, movies, music, just everyday life, reading news articles, all kinds of things are inspiration. My writing process is kind of just it's pretty free flowing. I try to plot sometimes, depending on what I'm writing. Like the Vigilant Love is a romantic suspense novel, so that one takes a little more plotting because there's more mystery to those books. So I do a little more plotting with those, but otherwise I try to kind of just go with the flow and let the characters speak to me, and just enjoy the process of it. And as far as advice for anybody out there looking to write, just write, man. Just if it's your passion, just go for it. Reach out to other authors. We don't bite. A lot of times we're there to help and offer advice, and we're there for you, and we're rooting you on and cheering for you.
So, unlike the music industry, being an author is something that you can look to other authors and kind of like for the mentorship.
Oh yeah, for sure,
Yeah.
for sure. I know one of my favorite authors when I was first starting out. I reached out to her and I told her, that I was wanting to kind of get into writing romance, and she was very supportive and encouraging. And anytime I had questions, I'd email her and she would respond to my emails. And I've tried to do the same thing. And the authors that I am colleagues and friends with, I really do consider them family. And I reach out to them, and we send each other our work when we're in the process of writing it, and we cheer each other on, and it's really encouraging. So I love the tribe that I have fallen into as far as authors.
Who is actually your favorite artist?
Oh, goodness. my favorite I'd have to say is the late Frances Ray. She's kind of who I started reading romance when I was, about 15 or 16. And then I took a break for a while, and when I started back writing or reading romance, her books were some of the first ones that I started back when I started back reading romance, and kind of got me hooked and kind of inspired me to want to write romance. So she's definitely up there as one of my favorites. But there's so many authors that I love to read and enjoy.
Okay, and Miss Russ, you consider yourself to be a neo-soul writer. Can you explain that to our listeners?
Well, it's mostly I write romance novels that are centered around African American couples. So when I say neo soul, I mean kind of like a Love Jones feel of romance. I hope is what comes across.
Yeah. I like that.
Just real black love.
Yeah, I like
when
that.
I say neo soul.
Okay. I kind of figured that, because neo soul music, you know what I'm saying? Like it took me there, but I
Yeah.
just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so some other questions.
Mhm.
Your newest novel,
Yes.
Vigilant Love. How would you describe that to us?
Um, it's kind of a second chance romance. And it's romantic suspense, so there's a lot of action going on in it. Um, and it's just, it's exciting, I think. I like to think it's exciting. I've gotten good feedback from some readers who have already read it ahead of time. And it's the longest in the series so far. So I just hope that the readers enjoy it as far as, this genre. This is my third in as far as romantic suspense. And I always complain because they give me the most grief, but at the end of the day, when I'm done, those are the ones that make me work the hardest and challenge me the most. And I always feel pretty accomplished when I'm done with those.
Okay, and for it being a romantic suspense, like have you ever
Mhm.
pictured of any of your novels coming into like visualizing them being movies?
I mean, I get that question all the time. It would be great. I would love that. Would be an awesome blessing for that to happen. Um, and if the opportunity presents itself and it's something that I can, work with and get into, then I would love for that to happen. So yeah, I can definitely see them, being on TV or movies. And one of the readers that's read it, she actually did say something along the lines of they should be, on TV or movies. So that'd be great, and I'd love to speak that into existence.
Right, right. Okay, the next question I have, I'm kind of going out of order now.
No problem.
Okay, so number one, what is the most difficult part about writing characters of the opposite sex?
um, I I don't really know. For some reason I haven't really had that big of an issue with writing characters of the opposite sex, and you know, I've let my husband read. My husband has read quite a bit of my work, and he's always impressed with the way I am able to write characters of the opposite sex and actually make them, you know, realistic. So I don't think that I've really had that much of an issue up to date with writing of the opposite sex, honestly.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
So, are any of your characters based on people you know or interact with?
Yes and no. I think I always kind of pull little tidbits of um, people to incorporate in my characters, and mostly it's just for inspiration. I don't think there's any characters that are like um, exact or direct, um, replicas of people that I know or anything like that. But there's, like I said, there's always little, nuances from people or things or that I've come in contact with.
Okay. So, how many hours a day do you actually spend writing when you're working on a book?
Oh, it varies because, of course, I'm also a mother, so I have to take into account, with whatever they're involved in, and you know spending time with my family. So, I mean, sometimes I don't write at all in a day. Sometimes it's an hour, 2 hours. Sometimes it's several hours. It really varies from day to day.
Okay. Another question. Okay, so you already spoke about your daughter and your son. You like your family and your husband. So,
Uh-huh.
like, do they really support you in your?
Oh yeah,
I know.
yeah.
I
They're
know.
a huge support. My husband is, needless to say, one of my biggest fans. He's always hyping me up, always hyping up whatever I'm doing, sharing posts. Um, you know, brags all the time. Anytime he gets the opportunity to talk about how his wife is an author, he uses that opportunity. And my kids, they know that mom's an author, and I think they may talk about it a little bit at school. I know, like at my son's school, my husband recently said that the ladies in the front office asked about my books. So I know, it's kind of talked about, and it's, they're really supportive.
Okay, that's good. So are you now a full-time author?
Yeah, I've considered myself full time from the beginning, because at the time, I wasn't working any other outside job, so I've always considered myself a full time author.
Hmm. Okay. So do you consider your writing to be kind of a spiritual practice?
Oh yeah, it can really be spiritual. I mean, a lot of times it's you know, we bring our emotions into writing sometimes, so it can be very cathartic and very cleansing a lot of times,
Hmm.
especially depending on whatever it is we're going through at that time. And yeah, it's very spiritual, I think, and it's it's a good way to help release emotions sometimes.
Yeah, I most definitely can relate.
Yeah.
Um, if you didn't write, what would you think you'd be doing?
Probably baking. I really enjoy baking a lot. That's one of the other things that I do. Besides writing, that I really enjoy. I enjoy baking a lot. So it's some kind of um, pastry, something.
Okay, and for you, what is the most difficult part of the writing process?
Um, when there are no words. When I'm trying to write and I know I need to write, and it's just like it's not happening. And as far as me, and I know a lot of writers that I know, we don't like to force our writing.
Mm.
So, so yeah, just when you really need to write or want to write, and your characters just aren't speaking, it's very frustrating. So I think that's one of the hardest things for me. And another thing I believe for me personally is when on the rare occasions that I do plot out storylines and things kind of go left from what I plotted, I have a hard time shifting gears and letting go of whatever I originally plotted and try to. I have a hard time going with the flow in those situations, because in my mind I'm stubborn and I'm like, well, this is what we plotted, so this is how things should go. But not sometimes things just don't work out that way, and so that's something I'm still working on as an author. Kind of just like, you know, when I do plot, leaving room for change or things that kind of don't work out the way I originally planned.
Okay, so do you believe in writer's block?
Oh yeah. Um, I believe that there's writer's block. I believe, that sometimes you get clogged up, backed up, and a lot of that can be things that happen in your life, will kind of bring on that block. So, um, but I try to find other outlets to kind of like take a break and focus on other things like reading or baking or any other hobbies that I might have, to kind of just, take a break, push away, and allow whatever um, is blocking to, free up, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. Okay, so when you're in the book writing process,
Uh-huh.
um, what kind of research do you do? How long do you how long do you spend researching before you actually begin to write a book? Saying, okay, so this is gonna be applied, this, and this, and then how long is that whole
Usually,
process?
um, I can't really say how long. I don't really know, but um, a lot of times I'm researching during the process of my
Hmm.
writing. So if there's a character who's um, doing a certain occupation or something, I'll do a little research probably before if I know ahead of time what I want their occupation to be. But like I said, a lot of times I'm doing research as I'm writing. So it's they're in tandem.
Okay. Okay, so this is kind of out there, but have you ever read any books that made you cry? If so, which one?
Oh man, it's been a while. Well, the last book that kind of made me teary eyed was there was a scene in a book by Nicole Falls called Last First Kiss. I think that's the last one that I remember that I was kind of teary eyed. I'm trying to think of some other ones. I think anything by Love Belvin. There's something somewhere that makes me gets me teary eyed. Um, and that's all I can think of off the top of my head. But yeah, there are definitely some books that will get you all in your feelings.
Right. Have you? Okay, now listen. Have you ever taken any? Okay, first of all, before I do this, before I ask you this question, I think I am pronouncing this word so wrong. You hear me?
Okay.
Okay. But okay, so have you ever taken any literary pilgrimages?
Oh, like trips, you mean?
Like yeah, but
Um, when you say literary pilgrimages, what do you mean?
like
Trips
any
for
any
research?
travels just to perhaps get ideas or um if you were writing say like a love story based in Italy, you know what I mean? Like and you go
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I know me and my husband we went on a couple of cruises to the Bahamas, and I definitely like pulled from my experiences there and used that as inspiration. Um, I wouldn't necessarily call it a pilgrimage, but when I was writing my for In the Line of Love, Fire and Rescue, we went to the fire department, a local fire department, and we spoke to the firefighters there and did research and asked a lot of questions and things like that. So I definitely do try to do things like that, um, and not even just trips, just things to um, like even occupations or like I said, occupations or hobbies that the characters have. I kind of want to try to like do as much research as I can to understand the process more. For one of my novel books, the character was in her free time she did aerial acrobatics or something like that, and at the time they didn't have anything local around here, but about a year or so after, they opened one up here in my area, and so I went to check it out, and I've been hooked ever since. So I do want to do more trips for sure, as far as research and things like that. So I would love to do more of it as well.
okay. And what does literary success look like to you?
Um, I mean, literary success. I'm doing what I love. I've loved writing since I was very young, um, and it's always been my passion. And that's something that I will probably always do. I'll probably always be writing in some kind of fashion. Um, the fact that people read it and enjoy it is a pretty big success to me. I've had readers tell me, when they were sick and they would, read my books and it would be a joy to them. So I think that's an amazing thing. And I think it's an honor to even, be able to do something like that and for a reader to, feel like my writing has that much of an impact to them. That's probably what the way I view the success is, through the readers.
Yes, ma'am. Great, great, great. Okay, so I have one last question for you.
Mhm.
If you could tell your younger self something that would help your adult writer be better, what would that be?
Don't stress out so much, man. And I have to tell myself that now too. You know, that's something that I'm still learning. But try not to be so stressed out about it. Just stay loving it, stay enjoying it. Remember that this is your passion, and just forever love it. Just don't forget that it's your passion.
Great answer. Okay, so Tay, can you let the listeners know where they can find your books and your social media information? Perhaps your
Yeah,
email if they want to get in
of
contact
course.
with you.
My books are all on Amazon. So if you search Tay Russ on Amazon, you'll find my page over there. That's where all my books are sold. My social media, if you search Tay Russ Novels, you'll find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, just Tay Russ Novels. They're all the same. My email address is tayrussnovels@gmail.com, and my website is tayruss.net.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am. And anytime you have a new release or anything you feel like you wanna put out there on the airwaves, just let me know.
Okay, and also for those searching for me, that's TERUSS for Tay Russ.
With the hyphen over the E.
Yeah, well, you don't have to put the accent when you're searching.
Mhm.
It'll still find me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you again,
Thank
and we
you.
look forward to speaking with you.
All right.
Thank you.